Do you ever wake up and your vision is blurry for the first 10 minutes? Or you walk into the kitchen and completely forget why you went there? Most doctors will tell you that's just aging, that you have to accept it. I'm here to tell you that's wrong. There are 5 specific juices, backed by real clinical research, that can quietly repair your brain and your eyes while you sleep. And most people over 60 have never heard of them. Stay with me, because what you'll learn today might change your morning routine forever. What you eat and drink in the hours before bed matters more than almost anything else for your brain and eye health after 60. Not supplements, not expensive procedures, what you drink. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 5 natural juices that science has now confirmed can support memory, reduce eye fatigue, and even help regenerate the cells that keep your vision sharp. I'm Dr. Gregory Holt. I've spent over 15 years working specifically with adults over 60, in clinical settings, in research, and in the field of preventive health. I've seen firsthand how small, consistent changes in what people drink can produce results that feel almost impossible to believe. Before we go any further, I want to be clear about something important. Everything I share here is for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice. If you're experiencing changes in your vision or memory, please speak with your doctor or a licensed healthcare professional. Your health deserves that level of care. Now, let's get into it. Let's start with a juice that looks like a deep ruby jewel in a glass and works just as powerfully inside your body. Pomegranate juice. Here's something most people don't know. As we age, the tiny blood vessels that feed the retina, the light-sensitive tissue at the back of your eye, become fragile. They lose elasticity. They deliver less oxygen. And when your retina doesn't get enough oxygen, your vision begins to deteriorate. You might call it normal aging. Researchers call it preventable microvascular decline. Pomegranate juice is loaded with compounds called punicalagins. These are among the most potent antioxidants found in any food on the planet. They actively protect the vascular lining of your blood vessels, including the delicate microvasculature of your retina. A clinical study published in Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine found that regular pomegranate juice consumption significantly reduced oxidative stress markers in older adults and improved vascular function in subjects with early signs of arterial stiffness. In practical terms, better blood flow, better oxygen delivery, healthier eyes. But here's the part that really matters for your brain. Pomegranate juice has been shown to increase the production of urolithins, compounds that stimulate a process called mitophagy, where your cells essentially clean out their own damaged components overnight. Think of it as a nightly garbage truck for your neurons. When that truck runs efficiently, your brain wakes up clearer, sharper, and more responsive. One of my patients, Robert, 68, told me he had been waking up foggy for years. He described it as trying to think through wet cement. After 6 weeks of pomegranate juice before bed, he said the fog began to lift. Not overnight, but gradually, undeniably. Here's what I recommend. Drink 200 milliliters of unsweetened pomegranate juice in the evening, about an hour before bed. Avoid the sweetened varieties. They negate much of the benefit. Pure, cold-pressed is best. And stay with me, because the next juice works through a completely different mechanism, one that most people never even consider when thinking about memory and vision. This one surprises people every time I mention it. Tart cherry juice. Now, you might associate cherries with dessert, but tart cherries, specifically Montmorency cherries, contain one of the most remarkable combinations of natural compounds for aging brains and eyes that I've ever seen in a single food. Let me explain why sleep is the key here. Most adults over 60 experience a significant drop in melatonin production. Melatonin is not just a sleep hormone, it is one of the most powerful antioxidants your body produces, and it plays a direct role in protecting your retinal cells from oxidative damage during the night. Less melatonin means less nighttime eye repair. It also means lighter, less restorative sleep, which means your brain's lymphatic system, the waste clearance network active only during deep sleep, doesn't do its full job. Tart cherry juice is one of the only natural foods that meaningfully boosts melatonin levels. A study published in the European Journal of Nutrition in 2012 found that adults who drank tart cherry juice twice daily experienced significantly increased melatonin levels, longer sleep duration, and better sleep quality compared to a placebo group. More sleep depth equals more brain repair. It's that direct. But tart cherry juice also contains anthocyanins, the same family of antioxidants found in blueberries, along with quercetin and chlorogenic acid, which together reduce neuroinflammation and protect retinal ganglion cells from the kind of slow, cumulative damage that causes vision decline over years. There's another finding I want to highlight. Research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that diets rich in anthocyanins were associated with a 37% lower risk of cognitive decline in older women. 37%. That is not a marginal number. Here's my recommendation. Drink 240 milliliters of tart cherry juice about 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Don't add sugar. A squeeze of lime can balance the tartness if needed. Be consistent. This is a juice that builds its effect over weeks, not hours. Coming up next, a green juice that most people dismiss as boring. But the research on this one is nothing short of remarkable for anyone who spends time reading, using a screen, or doing anything that requires sharp, focused vision. Green juices get a bad reputation. People think they're trendy, tasteless, or only for younger people doing weekend cleanses. But kale juice, taken correctly, is one of the most targeted nutritional interventions for eye health I know of. Here's the core reason. Your macula, the central zone of your retina responsible for reading, recognizing faces, and seeing fine detail, relies on a protective pigment. That pigment is made of two compounds, lutein and zeaxanthin, and kale is one of the single richest sources of both. The problem is this. As we age, macular pigment density decreases. That decline is directly linked to reduced contrast sensitivity, meaning the world looks a little flatter, a little less defined. It's also linked to higher susceptibility to age-related macular degeneration, which is the leading cause of vision loss in adults over 60. A study published in Nutrients in 2020 confirmed that higher blood concentrations of lutein and zeaxanthin, achieved through diet, were directly associated with improved visual processing speed and contrast sensitivity in older adults. In plain language, people who consumed more lutein and zeaxanthin saw more clearly and processed what they saw more quickly. But what about the brain? Lutein doesn't just stay in the eye. Research from the journals of gerontology has shown that lutein accumulates in brain tissue as well, specifically in regions associated with memory and learning. Higher lutein levels in the brain have been correlated with better cognitive performance in older adults, independent of overall diet quality. Kale juice also provides a strong dose of vitamin C, which supports the collagen structure of the eye and helps protect the lens, where cataracts form, from oxidative damage. I had a patient, Margaret, 72, a retired librarian who loved reading but was struggling with eye strain after just 20 minutes with a book. She started drinking a small kale juice 3 to 4 times a week with lunch. Within a month, she was back to reading for an hour without discomfort. She called it the boring juice that changed everything. Here's what to do. Juice 2 large handfuls of fresh kale with half a green apple and a small piece of cucumber to soften the flavor. Drink it mid-morning or with lunch. The fat-soluble nutrients absorb better with a small amount of healthy fat. A few walnuts or a drizzle of olive oil on your food alongside it makes a real difference. Keep watching. The next juice is one that most people have never thought of drinking, and it works at the very root of brain inflammation, the silent force driving cognitive decline. Fresh turmeric juice. This one is different from everything else on this list, not because it's exotic, but because it works at a completely different level, the cellular inflammatory level. Chronic low-grade brain inflammation is now widely recognized as one of the primary drivers of memory loss, brain fog, and cognitive decline in aging adults. It's not dramatic. You don't feel it acutely. It's slow, silent, and cumulative. But it erodes your mental clarity the way rust erodes metal, gradually, invisibly, until the damage is significant. Fresh turmeric juice contains curcumin, a polyphenol compound with some of the most well-documented anti-inflammatory and neuroprotective properties of any natural substance studied in the context of aging. A randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial published in the American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry in 2018 found that 90 milligrams of curcumin twice daily for 18 months significantly improved memory and attention in adults without dementia. Participants showed a 28% improvement in memory test scores and a reduction in amyloid and tau, the proteins associated with Alzheimer's disease, in the brain regions governing mood and memory. For the eyes, curcumin has been shown to support retinal ganglion cell survival and reduce oxidative stress in the eye's aqueous humor. Research published in Nutrients in 2019 identified curcumin as a promising protective agent against glaucoma progression due to its ability to reduce intraocular inflammation. Here's the critical detail. Curcumin is poorly absorbed on its own, but when you combine it with fresh black pepper, which contains piperine, absorption increases by up to 2000%. That's not a typo. My recommendation: juice 1 thumb-sized piece of fresh turmeric root with a small piece of ginger, a pinch of black pepper, and a squeeze of orange for flavor. Drink it in the morning or early afternoon. Don't drink it on an empty stomach if you're sensitive to spice. One more juice to go. This last one is humble. It's green. It's underestimated. And for anyone over 60 who wants to protect their neurons and their vision at the same time, it might be the most complete tool in this entire list. Celery juice. I know what you're thinking. Celery? Stay with me. because while it may not look impressive, the research on celery's active compound, luteolin, is something every person over 60 deserves to hear. Luteolin is a flavonoid found in high concentrations in celery. Its role in brain health is remarkable. Studies have shown that luteolin inhibits microglial activation. In other words, it quiets the brain's immune cells that, when chronically overactivated, cause neuroinflammation and progressively damage neurons. Research published in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences in 2019 found that luteolin supplementation improved spatial memory and reduced neuroinflammatory markers in aging subjects, suggesting a meaningful protective and restorative effect on cognitive function. Celery juice is also one of the richest food sources of apigenin, another flavonoid linked to neurogenesis, the generation of new brain cells, particularly in the hippocampus, the brain's memory center. For the eyes, celery provides vitamin A precursors, vitamin K, and a suite of antioxidants that support retinal integrity and reduce the risk of optic nerve inflammation. What makes celery juice especially practical is how easy it is to prepare. No elaborate recipe, no expensive equipment. Juice 6 to 8 stalks of fresh celery on an empty stomach in the morning, that's it. Many of my patients find it the most sustainable habit on this list, precisely because it's so simple. One of my patients, Gerald 77, started celery juice as a skeptic. He told me he was just trying it to prove it wouldn't work. 3 weeks later, he admitted his afternoon mental clarity had measurably improved, and his ophthalmologist noted reduced optic nerve pressure at his follow-up visit. He's been drinking it ever since. So here's a fast summary of everything we've covered today. Pomegranate juice protects your retinal blood vessels and clears cellular debris from your neurons overnight. Drink it an hour before bed. Tart cherry juice boosts melatonin naturally, deepens your sleep, and activates retinal and brain repair while you rest. Drink it 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Kale juice rebuilds macular pigment, sharpens contrast vision, and deposits lutein directly into brain tissue. Drink it mid-morning with a healthy fat. Fresh turmeric juice fights the root inflammation driving memory loss and retinal damage. Drink it in the morning or early afternoon with black pepper. Celery juice quiets neuroinflammation, supports neurogenesis, and protects your optic nerve. Drink it on an empty stomach, first thing in the morning. You don't need all 5 every day. 2 or 3 juices rotated consistently will move the needle. What matters is not perfection, it's showing up for your body day after day. Because here's the truth I've learned after more than 15 years working with older adults. Your body has not given up on you. It is still capable of adaptation, still capable of repair, it just needs the right raw materials. And sometimes those raw materials are simpler than anyone expects. If this gave you something useful today, some new information, a little hope, a reason to try something different, I'd love for you to subscribe and join us each week, because this is exactly what we're here for. Simple, science-backed ways to stay sharp, see clearly, and feel strong after 60. This is Dr. Gregory Holt. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.